We head now to Rakautara, roughly 20k north of Kaikoura, where people have been waiting to learn whether they'll be able to live in their homes damaged by the 2016 earthquake. We met some of those people in May after the Kaikoura District Council forced them out of their homes due to the risk posed by a nearby cliff that pummeled some of their properties with boulders. Last night, the council organised a sit-down meeting at which homeowners would learn their fate. There, they had three options outlined to them by the Kaikoura District Council: move their homes away from the cliff, try and contain the risk from the cliff, or, and I quote, retreat. Our excellent reporter Logan Church was at the meeting, and Logan filed this report.
Nolene O'Carroll and John McIntyre are about to go to their first meeting with the Kaikoura District Council about their quake-damaged property.
You've got a property which you love and you look after and you do everything right, and now it's left to rack and ruin, and it's awful to see it. It's horrible.
We first met the couple in May, when they showed us their much-loved home in Rakautara that they lovingly built themselves. During the earthquakes in 2016, huge boulders smashed into their house from the cliff above as they slept. They wondered if they would die, but in the horror of that moment, they had no idea almost 2 years on, they would still not be allowed to return to the house due to the council slapping a Section 124 notice on the door.
We can't carry on living like this in limbo and have our properties ruined. They're deteriorating. We try and protect them, and people come along and take down the barriers. Council would not help us in any way or form to protect our property. We wanted them to fence the areas off, and they wouldn't do that. They haven't helped us one bit, so we just want it finished with now.
In the meantime, their house is falling to pieces. The garden is overgrown, the giant boulder that smashed through their kitchen is still there, barriers they put up to cover the property have been smashed. Even the bright red Section 124 notice is now covered with cobwebs.
Is that cliff safe?
No.
When we spoke to them in May, John and Nolene wanted their home red zoned and gone. That wish stays the same.
What correspondence have you guys had with the council since May and now?
Possibly 2 letters, just outlining the procedure of what they were going to do in the big plan. Not specifically just with us, but for everybody. And that's about it. And here we are.
Are you happy with that?
No, I've never been happy with the communication from council. It's not been enough. So let's hope they can turn a corner.
Earlier this year, the council received $1.5 million from the government to solve the land hazard issue. 15 properties like John and Nolene's across the entire district are in a similar boat. The council promised it would return to the owners with options in September. September is here. But before we go into the council meeting, let's rewind 24 hours and travel to Kaikoura.
The aftershocks have substantially dropped away, and there's been 2 or 3 very heavy rainstorms that have come through that have, I guess, challenged the slopes.
That's GNS scientist John Scott, who has been contracted by the council to assess land hazards such as the Rakautara cliff.
The feeling is that the slopes have been tested, and things are settling back down to what might have been before the Kaikoura earthquake.
What do you mean the feeling is? I mean, you can't judge someone's life off a feeling. For these people it was a case of life or death because many thought they were going to die during the earthquake. What does a feeling mean?
It's really scientific judgment, really, based on experience when you look at the facts on the site.
The cliff itself is about the height of a small city high-rise. Several houses in the settlement are built right up against it. Large boulders can be seen at the top, held in place by trees, vegetation, and the earth. But, of course, we know the earth can move. So does John Scott think the cliff is safe?
No call's been made on that yet. We're still considering all the evidence and the new science.
So you can't say if it's safe or not yet?
Not yet, no.
So after several months of GNS work and this new science, no words as to whether this cliff is safe. We are waiting for a final report. As we heard earlier, a strong criticism of the council throughout this saga is a lack of communication and understanding of the residents' positions. A letter sent from Kaikoura Council's Chief Executive, Angela Oosthuizen, to Nolene O'Carroll last month said the risk had reduced significantly across the region. This means many property owners may soon be able to return to their homes. I asked Ms Oosthuizen how many of the Rakautara 5 wanted to go back.
We're still to go through that process of actually talking to them and identifying it formally on the record. I do understand there are a few property owners that are concerned with the risks, and that's what the next couple of days are all about, is really to talk to those people, to find out how they're feeling, to find out what their circumstances are, and to marry that up with the new information that's come to light so that we can get to appropriate outcomes at the end.
But these property owners were saying months ago that they didn't want to go back there, so why is the council only discovering this now?
They have said that, and as I said before, it is a complex process.
If you are watching, the person sitting on the right is Deputy Mayor Julie Howden. She was in the building at the same time and asked to sit in on Angela's interview.
Can you explain to me what's complex about this? To the residents' minds, and to my mind, to be honest, it boils down to the simple question of, is that cliff safe? So what's complicated about this?
What's complicated is that there are individual circumstances. In each case, you've got to work through how has the new information affected what the outcome is going to be. We've got to take circumstances into account. I believe that they should have faith in the process. Unfortunately, as I said, the process does take time. It is complex. There's a lot of risks and policy decisions that we have to make. I believe we're significantly down the track in terms of getting to that point. We're fairly close to getting to some solutions towards the end of the year, and I would ask them for a bit of patience and a bit of tolerance to enable us to work through and to get to that point.
A tall ask for people who have already been waiting for almost 2 years. Let's return to Christchurch and head into the meeting at the Canterbury Regional Council for this long-awaited sit-down. We agreed not to record or film inside the meeting room. On one side of the boardroom table sat Angela Oosthuizen and John Scott, as well as Kaikoura's Mayor Winston Gray. Around them, 3 sets of fed-up residents, 2 more on the phone and on Skype. You could cut the tension with a knife. Angela Oosthuizen outlines 3 options: move the homes away from the cliff, try and contain the risk from the cliff, or retreat. The first, move the homes, is vehemently opposed. In some cases it is not possible due to the rail line on the other side of the land. Nolene asked the council to sign an affidavit saying the cliff was safe. They said they couldn't. The second option, contain the hazard, is also unlikely. That hillside is too big, too unstable, too dangerous. The third, leave the site, receives unanimous approval. No one wants to live there again after the hell they went through. But the council made it clear red zoning was not an option, and it didn't have the money to pay everyone out. Some suggested the government should fork out more than the proposed $1.5 million for the 15 affected houses across the district, calling that stingy. The council promised to relay that to the government. Fast forward about an hour until after the meeting.
Oh, I really don't know. I don't really think they have any answers just yet. I seem to be waiting for another report, another geotech report. I don't know. Angela did say that she felt very sorry for us, and we are in a very hard place. So I don't know, Logan. I'm not sure.
The council says it will make a decision as to what to do by the end of the year, but that is of little comfort for Nolene and John, who have since relocated to Christchurch. Their Rakautara home will continue to deteriorate and slowly fall to pieces. The only thing that has stayed the same is that bright red, cobweb-covered Section 124 notice. Mo te hōtaka o te ahi nei, ko Logan Church tēnei.